Hello and welcome to another episode of our special series called Center Stage right here on CNBC TV 18. I'm Sumit Lakhotia. Now throughout this series we'll be traveling around the country to meet some successful entrepreneurs, those who've dared to dream big and who've carved out a niche for themselves in their respective fields. We'll be peeking into their journeys and also finding out how they continue to strive for excellence and perfection. With security concerns spiking in every sphere of society, it's hard to neglect the growing demands of security arrangements in residential spaces, offices, industrial areas and commercial complexes. The increasing need for making our surroundings secure and safe has come to serve as an advantage for the private security services industry in India. Considered to be one of the sunrise sectors of the economy, private security services is gaining traction not only among homegrown players but also among global giants who are set to make huge investments into it. However, like any other sector, the private security services industry is also faced with various challenges relating to compliance, regulation standards, supply management and so on, acting as a hurdle in unleashing the real potential of this industry. On this episode, we put the spotlight on a security services provider company, SIS. Security Intelligence Services was started in 1974 by former journalist R.K. Sinha. In 2002, he was joined by his son Rituraj Sinha to carry the legacy forward. With an undying spirit and a strong determination to succeed, Rituraj shouldered all the responsibilities that came his way and left no stone unturned to redefine the essence of his father's dream. Today, SIS has made a mark in the private security services industry, competing successfully with their domestic and international counterparts. However, this accomplishment doesn't seem to be stopping Rituraj from achieving and aspiring for bigger goals. Hi Rituraj, welcome to the show. Let's talk a little bit about your academic background and your career first. So you studied at the Leeds University Business School. You were even working in a bank there in London. What prompted the move to come to India and join the family business?
Fresh out of B school, everyone wants to be an investment banker. I think that's the most natural thing to do. But early enough, I realized that it would take me at least a decade to get to any reasonable position in the banking space. And around the same time, the 9/11 attacks on World Trade Center happened, and suddenly security as a subject or as an industry changed altogether. And around the same time, my father was also keen that I come back. So when he spoke to me about it, I think I just lapped up the opportunity.
So your father started the business in 1974 and you've seen his full journey, the step-by-step growth and all of that. What are your key takeaways from his journey?
Oh, many. I think whatever understanding I have of the business is purely from my father. And he's devoted almost 40 years to building not just SIS but also what the security sector is, because he started out very, very early in 1970s. And so many things that, he's been saying in a very casual manner are pearls of wisdom actually from this sector's perspective. Like I remember, when I just joined the space, he used to often tell us casually, that security एक ऐसा sector है जहाँ पे factory लगे या factory बंद हो, security की ज़रूरत हमेशा रहती.
Yeah.
And I never actually paid much attention to it. And when 2009-10 happened, and recession and market slowdown and crisis and everything, when we were going through that phase, his words would haunt me all the time, and I would realize that he was so right about the inelasticity of demand for security services.
So Rituraj, in the last 2 decades, the private security services industry in India has changed a lot. What do you think are some of the turning points, the main turning points for the industry in the country?
Well, I think one big turning point for the global security industry was September 11 attacks on the World Trade Center. I think that changed things a lot. In India, I think the other big change has been the enactment of the Private Security Agencies Regulation Act in 2005, which took 2 to 3 years to actually, really find, footing in terms of implementation across states. I think these two have been the big, turning points for the sector in the last 2 decades.
Talking about the global security services market, now Asia Pacific accounts for about 10% of the global market.
What's your thought on the importance of this sector, this region on the way ahead compared to Europe and maybe in America?
You know, the global security industry is over 200 billion US dollars. More than 70% of this market actually is North America and Western Europe. The North American and the Western Europe market are growing at 2 to 3% on an average, real growth. APAC and other emerging countries are growing at 12 to 14% per annum. So what looks like 10% of global market today, by 2025 it will look like 22 to 25% of global market. So I think APAC is possibly the best place to do security business as of now.
Talking again India-centric, the way ahead, what do you think is the future growth prospects in the private security space, the man guards and the cash management services?
What's most fascinating is that it's not a particular segment that is growing and expanding very well. In fact, the guarding segment continues to grow at 15 to 18% per annum. And that's like the major chunk of the Indian private security industry with almost a 70% contribution to the total pie. The other big piece that's evolving very, very rapidly is the cash management space. It's growing at as much as 30 to 35% over the last 4 or 5 years. Tremendous opportunity with push on inclusive banking and other things. Electronic security is also scaling up again very rapidly with not just homes and corporates adopting it, but also police and public infrastructure, going into city surveillance and smart cities. I think the opportunity is just phenomenal.
Okay, I'm going to go now to the flip side of all of this, because it's a very labor-centric industry, and there are certain problems that you talk about, people talk about, which is, getting good quality labor, compliance, regulatory framework, all of those issues. How do you think the country on a whole should work towards overcoming these challenges that the industry is facing?
I think that there is no dearth for good quality manpower for good employers in this sector, like in any other sector. So, for example, SIS on average has been recruiting anywhere between 22 to 28,000 people in the last 3 years. We recruit, train and certify. And we believe that with the kind of investment that we have done in recruitment and training facilities across India and our sourcing channels, everything, I think manpower supply is not an issue for us.
Right.
Coming to the next point which you raised about regulatory aspects, I think this industry needs regulation. We need to have a level playing field. So implementation of PASARA and regulation is only good for the sector, and we are all for it. I think the level of compliance in this space is below par, and industry needs to self-regulate. The larger players have made a big move in the last 5 years towards self-regulating and fixing the issues that we've had, and I can clearly see that the entire sector is actually moving towards higher compliance standards.
Rituraj, it's time for a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, because on the other side, we're talking to Rituraj about the SIS story. We'll be right back. You're watching Center Stage, and I'm with Rituraj Sinha today. Rituraj, now SIS Group has gone from being a 25 crore manned guard services company to now being about 3,410 crore company. You're an MNC, you're into all kinds of security solutions as well as business support services. How do you look back at this journey?
SIS has had a good run over the last 20 years. I've been a part of at least the last 10, but it's had a very good run in the last 20 years. But I think what's more important is the sector today, and SIS today is poised for greater things. So we are looking ahead with excitement. The market demand is booming exponentially. SIS brand is stronger than ever before. We've actually initiated ventures not only in security space but also in business support area, which is facility management under a tie-up with ServiceMaster Corporation of US. We started a joint venture with Terminix, which is the world's largest pest control company, 2 years back. Cash management space is booming. We have a joint venture with Prosegur, which is the world's largest cash management operator. So I think there's great times ahead. So looking ahead more than looking back. Yeah.
How is SIS staying up to date with the technology and staying one step ahead of the competition with regards to technology or with the help of technology?
On the outside, when you look at this sector, you will believe that everything is done by people and a lot of paper and things like that. But if on the inside, SIS is actually run on a ERP platform which is actually homegrown. It's developed by an in-house team of IT professionals, started out in 2002-03, and they have been at it for the last 12 years. We are constantly writing code which is developed based on the needs of the security sector, and it's a very unique platform that allows us to do phenomenal things like, roster every manpower, and we have 75,000 plus in India. Roster every manpower, every shift, every site. We can track site-wise profitability. Very soon we are launching a quality control initiative where the whole recruitment process that our branches and training facilities run will be run on the pattern of how an Aadhaar card system works, where the entire QR compliance is done through technology rather than physical input. So absolutely, IT is the backbone of SIS, and we're very focused on developing our IT systems.
I want to talk to you about SIS's expansion over the years gone by. Key in that is your acquisition of Chubb Security in Australia, which is now MSS Security. Walk me through that. How did that happen?
Well, we were looking to do something in the APAC region, and we've been talking about the opportunity that Asia Pacific offers since 2005-2006. Around the same time, United Technology Corporation, which was the owner of Chubb worldwide at that point in time, they put their guarding assets in Australia and UK on the block, and we participated in the process. And we didn't really realize that it would move that rapidly, but as luck would have it, we came up on the bidder shortlist. But it was quite a deal because we were trying to buy a company 7 times our size. It was in the middle of the global financial crisis. The deal actually closed in the same month as Bear Stearns and Lehman collapse. So timing-wise, it wasn't the best. But looking back, I think absolutely a game changer.
Private equity is generally not something that you would associate with the security space. But private equity has played a key role in the growth of SIS Group.
Private equity has played a very important role in the development of SIS. I first started out, I first started reaching out to private equity in 2004 and 5 beginning, and I spent 3 years, walking away from very bad meetings. But in 2007, and D. Shaw actually invested in SIS, and it was quite a talk of town at that moment because they had just invested $400 million into DLF assets around the same time, and people would ask them and us why they would go ahead and invest in DLF, which was the company, and a security guarding company around the same time. It didn't really make much sense strategy-wise. But I think that was the first private equity investment in security sector.
Well, it's time for another break. Don't go anywhere. We'll continue talking with Rituraj, and we'll find out a little bit more about SIS's roadmap for the future. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Center Stage, and I'm in conversation with SIS Group's Rituraj Sinha. Rituraj, let's talk about entrepreneurship and leadership. What, according to you, are the qualities that a successful leader should have?
What I've read and understood in the last 12, 13 years that I've been with, trying to develop SIS, I think having a broader vision is extremely important. What you intend to do in the next 5 to 10 years. I think that's important for leadership because the people working with you expect to understand that. I think conviction is of importance because there's a lot of times where people don't agree or don't see much sense in what you're trying to do. So I think conviction in your ideas is critical. I think building the right team and carrying your team is extremely important if you want to be a successful entrepreneur or a good leader, I think you can't do it by yourself. So I think you're only as good as your team is.
So what's your leadership style? I mean, are you the perfectionist? Are you like always behind your managers, or are you leave them to do their own bit and let them come back to you when they need your help and your guidance?
Well, I try not to micromanage things too much, but I think I really don't have a particular leadership style. I think it's still evolving. But I like to develop, work on strategy. I think that bit I enjoy a lot. But at the same time, I can be quite painful when I'm chasing a project and I end up micromanaging things at times. But I think the kind of talent and managers that are there with SIS today, I think I'm having to do less and less of that.
Your father was a first generation entrepreneur. He started the company in 1974. So I'm sure obviously he's been one of your major mentors, and he's been a guiding light to you throughout your career. Any other mentors that you have?
Well, I've learned a lot from a wide variety of people, and I've also been very fascinated reading up about successful leaders.
Yes.
So I've done a lot of those readings. So I think it's a mix of everything. I think learned a lot from my father, learned a lot from seniors in SIS, who I have had the good luck of working with. I've learned a lot from successful Indian entrepreneurs, reading about their journeys and how they have carved a massive success story for themselves. So I think there's tremendous amount of inspiration all around. You just have to look in the right direction.
So I believe their vision for 2015 was to be a top service provider in the business support services and one of the top 10 global security companies of the world. So how's that coming along? We're a few months away from 2015.
So I think SI is pretty much on track. I think we haven't broken into the global top 10, but we are number 12 in the world with roughly $650 million in revenue. We are a business support services provider with all the, 7-8 entities that we now operate, 7 in India and 1 in Australia. So we've diversified our service portfolio for sure. Looking forward 2020, I think, I'm a strong believer that the next $1 billion security company is going to come from this part of the world. Whether it is SIS or some other company, it's for time to tell. But I think SIS is set up very nicely. We have a massive market opportunity ahead of us. We are also well geared to tap that market opportunity.
There's already competition. There might be more competitors coming from abroad. How are you getting ready, or how are you prepared to stave off this competition?
Well, I think SIS has witnessed competition in security industry and now in also the facility management space and pest control space. These are highly fragmented sectors. So the number of competitors is massive. There is a lot of competitors who are also multinationals. So I think that's a part of the space. Yes. So we just believe in doing our service right, retaining our customers, retaining our people, being a more compliant company than we were, the previous year. And I think those basics have worked out well for SIS. And I think that's the reason why in an industry which grows 15-18%, SIS has maintained a CAGR of 35% plus in the last 6 years.
Rituraj, that's as far as the organic growth that you've spoken about. Let's talk inorganic growth. So you acquired Chubb Security, which became MSS. Any more acquisition plans up ahead?
Well, I think in the Indian space at this point in time, there is quite a few assets which are of interest and at different stages of discussion. So, we are looking at acquisitions also as an opportunity to actually propel SIS to the next level.
Thank you so much, and we wish you all the very best for the way ahead.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's all that we have for you on this episode. Keep watching the series as we bring you more stories of successful entrepreneurs who've realized their dream and made it to the top. Until then, from the entire team, many thanks for watching.